Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show, live in the On Purpose Woman magazine and global community Facebook page. I'm Jenny Robertson, one of the co-hosts of the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show, and I'm also the founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine and founder of the On Purpose Woman global community. My guest today is author, healer, and spiritual guide, Lilia Shoshanna Rae. And we're going to be talking about You Are Brilliant, Shine Your Light. Thanks for being with me, Lilia. I've been really looking forward to our conversation because I love what you do and I've got lots of questions.
Oh, great. Thank you, Jenny. I'm so glad to be here. And I love this topic because I've been learning how to shine my light more brightly, and I want to help others do that too.
Wonderful. Well, before we dive into our topic, I want to tell our viewers about you. Mid-career as a lawyer, Lilia Shoshanna Rae experienced an angel intervention that transformed her life. Now, as author, healer, and spiritual guide, she helps others tap into angel wisdom to live a purpose-filled life. Author of the best-selling book, The Art of Listening to Angels, Lilia is working on her second book, Living Your Brilliance, sharing angel guidance on shining your unique light and creating more love, joy, and peace in your life and in the world. So, Lilia, let's start with this idea of this angel intervention. You're working as a lawyer, I believe, for the Maryland State Legislature, right?
Yes.
And you experienced an angel intervention. So, what was going on and what did that look like for you?
Well, I had experienced a series of significant heartbreaks, 3 in a row. A divorce from the father of my children, a 5-year relationship. And then as I was trying to heal from that, I thought I had found my soulmate. And it turned out he had other ideas. And so I was just in a emotional mess. And I still needed to be focused and clear on my work. And so, in order to help clear my mind and be able to do that, I would take walks at lunch. And it was on one of those walks that my guardian angel, Harry, made his appearance. As only, I think he came so that I don't know, he came in a brown suit and a fedora. So, very, his concept of what a lawyer would look like, maybe I would
Got
pay
your
attention
attention,
to
huh?
him.
So you could actually see him as well as hear him.
Yes. And that was a very unusual experience for me. It wasn't I hadn't experienced anything like that. I didn't know of anybody else who had either visuals or the audio of messages from angels. And so it was a little bit scary, and yet it was comforting. What I was hearing was comforting, and that I was going to be okay. And so that's why I trusted it when I did ask him. Just, wasn't speaking out loud at the time, but I did mentally say, "Who are you? And do you have a name?" And so he told me he was my guardian angel, and his name was Harry.
And so you had never had an experience like this before. You had never known anyone, at least, who had talked about an experience like this. But because it felt comforting, it felt right to you, you were willing to at least embrace it in that moment. And
yes. And shortly after that, I had another experience with Archangel Michael coming. The visual for him was this cloud of energy, but also reassuring me and telling me I was going to be okay. And at first it was just a cloud. And after a few sentences, I said, "Do you have a name?" And I heard Michael right away. And I would never in my wildest dreams have thought that Archangel Michael would be giving me a message. I just had no concept of that.
he's like the top of the pile, right? He'd be sending all the little minions down to do that work, right?
Well, that's what I thought. And over the years, I've found that he's available to anyone. And he wants to help us in be who we came here to be and to do our purpose work, to do what we feel called to do.
Mhm.
And so that's what he's helped me to do.
Okay. So from that moment, you embraced it, and I guess we'll talk a little bit more about what that journey looked like. But I'm guessing that you didn't rush back into work that first day and tell everybody what had just happened.
No, no. And in fact, I didn't tell my colleagues until after I retired. It was
Wow.
just not something that I felt I could talk about um, in that context,
Yeah.
being a lawyer.
There could be some prices to pay, actually, for some real prices to pay for putting that information out there.
Well, it just felt like most most people don't haven't had an experience with angels, so they might not know what to make of it, and
Right.
it might
Right.
scare them that
Mhm.
somebody is saying they're hearing messages. They might have thought I was crazy.
Well, I don't know. We better keep an eye on Lilia. She's saying some really strange things here.
Right.
But you persevered internally as well. And then when you were ready to leave and retire from your legal position, but you really were already doing work, weren't you? You didn't wait till you retired to actually start working on your book or start working with other people to help them. So you were kind of doing that on the side for a while, right?
Yeah. So it was about I don't know how many years, but at least 10 or more years before I retired. And during that time, I became a Reiki master
Mhm.
and did all sorts of other spiritual studies. I learned a lot about angels and met people who also were having that same experience. So I knew I wasn't alone in that
Yeah.
and felt supported, reassured that I wasn't crazy, that it was for real, and that the main important thing is to help me live my soul's purpose and to
Mhm.
move in that direction. So it wasn't easy to go from being a lawyer and being receiving a salary that was something to going to be an entrepreneur, an author, spiritual teacher. It's a whole different world
Yeah.
and worth it. But
It required a lot of trust from you,
mhm.
trust in what you were learning, what you were being told, and trust in your own abilities to actually go out there and do this work.
Yes, definitely. And it took me time.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't even share it with my children for a while because I didn't know what they would think. I
Yeah.
had to know that this was for real. I mean, I had that sense and that kept me going forward in it, but to then share it with others, loved ones, colleagues, I had to be really grounded in it.
Hmm. Yeah. People have asked me over the years, well, Jenny, how did you even come up with this idea for, On Purpose, the On Purpose Woman community? And you probably know the story, and I'm not going to the story now, but I've told them I could not have written a business plan for what I'm doing today because there was no name for it necessarily back then. And I'm wondering if you felt the same way. It's like, okay, maybe I can make a living doing this, become an entrepreneur using these gifts that I know I now have. But how did you know, or did you try to figure out in advance, well, if I do this, maybe this will happen? I'm asking that question for all the women out there who
Right.
have
Yeah.
this fire of something.
Exactly. And I'm still learning how, but I am learning to trust the, what I've come to know as my gifts, my unique brilliance, and to go from there
Mhm.
and to trust that the universe, and for me, my angel team is supporting me in it. And as I take each next step, then I'm getting reassured that this is the right path. And so I feel like one of the reasons what I'm exploring with writing the second book is uh, to show how we can move through the not knowing, getting to a place that we can trust our gifts and take those next steps and find a way to share them in a, you know, a sustainable way,
Mhm.
and to find ways to remove whatever blocks we have that are getting in the way. It's possible. And the the benefits are, when we live an on purpose life, when we live the way what our soul came here to live, we're tapping into that inner joy, that peace, that excitement, all of that good stuff inside that's possible for us. And that as we do that, we're helping anyone who's around us, because we're
Yes.
lifting the vibration by tapping into what's already inside and why we're here and what we are to share. So I know you see that with women who show up in the on purpose woman world, and that as they tap into their unique gifts, they start to shine.
Yes. I'm a big fan of helping women shine their light and be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And then the reason I think we share the reason why that matters is because we do all have unique gifts. And if we hold them and don't share them, we're not making our unique impact. And there are people who need what we have
Mm-hmm.
so that they can go out and make their unique impact. So it's really about, I think the bottom line about all you're saying is raising the vibration on the planet, right?
Yes. And it's so important. It really does matter. And as I keep that in mind, I'm glad you know, bring that up. It's like, why does it matter that we
Mhm.
do what we do? And we are really shifting the world as we shift ourselves.
Yes.
And and I would encourage anybody, even if they feel really blocked, to keep on pursuing that and really tapping into it, because I have done a lot of work on myself, a lot of growing through this process, working with my angel teams and learning how to do this. And even last week, I had a breakthrough where I saw how I was still blocked in a way.
Mm.
And I broke open to get in touch with my inner light in a way that was powerful. And it's like, wow, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can shine my light. I can brighten the world that much more if I just allow it.
Mm.
So I'm loving this journey.
I know you are. I know you are. And I'm loving being on this journey with you. And I also believe that, as we get the courage, as we trust and get the courage to let that light shine. And when you talked about that new aha you had just last week, your face lit up, you lit up, you really lit up sitting right here. And then that makes it, for me, that makes the big picture much more important than my little fears.
Yes.
It makes that, oh, how am I going to do that? Or my doubts or any of that, because this isn't about me anymore. It's about the impact and the difference that we can make and how we can leave the planet better than we found it. So it becomes very, you and I think you're younger than me by some years, but I would have been a little hippie if my parents had left me alone for very long, because I wanted so much to be in the peace, love, and that world of peace and love.
Yeah.
And
We're
the
very
moon is in
close
the
in
higher
age.
house. What was that?
We're very close in age.
Yes.
And yeah, I know that.
Yeah. So I
What
feel
we
like
grew
we're
up with.
experiencing the age of Aquarius a little bit now, with all of that. It all makes more sense now. So let's talk more though in detail about, you believe that our angels can actually help us work through those blocks, can help us tap into what our unique gifts are. So how might somebody begin to look at that?
Well, I think, y- this can be for someone who doesn't even believe in angels. If you can
Mhm.
just open up to the idea and consider what if, and use your imagination.
Be
But
curious, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what I have found is that when I connect to angel energy, I feel peaceful, relaxed, supported, loved, and it's so comforting to know that they're available and accessible to help me and to help others. And I feel like some people get to know about angels a little bit using something like an oracle card or something like that, whatever tool. But I connect through meditations and get into that really wonderful space of just calling them forth and appreciating their being willing to support me and help me. And there's always something that comes through my meditations. And I created a meditation that's called Basking in Angel Energy that I encourage people to check out, because it's just a way of experiencing angel energy as I lead the meditation. And it will get you into this place of relaxation and feeling of support. And it's amazing what comes through.
Yeah. Where can people find that meditation?
So it's on my website, which is liliashoshannaray.com. So it's just my full name.com, and then free-meditation. And so I definitely encourage it for just an experience of what can happen and what you can do if you just want to say, what if this is possible.
Well, I've read your book, and I think you did just an excellent job of breaking down how we can actually have that access and some ways that we can actually do it. And I've been someone for a good part of my adult life, even as I have forged a really what I consider deep spiritual path, that I wasn't really paying attention much to angels. I mean, I had readings, I'd heard who some of them were, I had guides. And I was in a reading with two different women in the course of 2 years, a number of years ago. But it was more of an energy session as well. They were talking to me, but I was on a table, had my eyes closed. And both women who didn't know each other, there was no connection there at all, started laughing during the treatment. And I'm like, what's so funny? She says, well, they're telling me they're bored because you're giving them nothing to do. And my initial thought was, you mean I'm supposed to ask? Because I really, and I bring that up because what would you say to someone who I think I felt like they were too elevated. How could I ask them to come and work with little old me? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, my reaction when, I found out it was Michael who was speaking to me is like, how little old me have Archangel Michael come in and start speaking to me. But that's the shift I had to make, and the understanding. And they keep telling me, tell people we're here, we're accessible.
Use
we're
us.
Yeah. And in the 5-step process that's in my book, the first step is to ask.
Yeah.
And because it's important, because they honor our free will. So if we don't want their help, they're just out there waiting till we ask.
That's such an important thing. And I think I didn't get that clearly until I met you and then read your book, because you talk about this. I think I had this idea that if there are angels, and I was never really sure, but I was open to sort of entertaining the idea. I saw no harm that could happen from entertaining the idea. But shouldn't they know what I want? And that's how, like I'm thinking it, shouldn't they know? I mean, they're all knowing and all powerful, right? And yet it's that idea that we have to actually want it and ask for it, because they're not going to impose just because we're having a thought. Man, we don't want everything that we think. So I understand now, as I've gone deeper with this, that if they were giving us what we just thought about, man, we'd have all kinds of stuff that we did not really think we wanted, right?
Right.
So that really helped me a lot to realize that that's their purpose. That's their purpose, is to be there to guide us and help us along our path to do our great work in the world. Do I have that right?
You have it exactly right. Yes, and it's beautiful. And I, what was coming up for me is again for all of us to consider, why does it matter that we find our purpose path and live it, and why does it matter if we shine our light or not? It matters because we're going to be helping people. We're going to be lifting the vibration, and that's important.
And for anyone listening who has that thing inside of them, other people may be doing something that looks like that, but nobody can do it the way that you are going to do it. And people need the way you're going to do it.
Yes.
I can't say that I mean, I just can't say that enough. And so, Lily, you mentioned that angels can help us actually get in touch with what that thing is. And you also say that once we know, they can actually help us bring it out into the world. Is that just another step in the process of asking?
Yeah, and just continue to ask for their help. And so one of the things that I feel I've experienced is that they've helped put me in touch with people who can help. They've given me the ideas, like the other morning for the breakthrough. They gave me the idea of what my block was like, and then in meditation they helped me see it visually and get more of a sense of it. And then they had already connected me to somebody who is a coach for me, and I had a session that day lined up, so I felt they've been working with me in the background for that. And in fact, the way that I'd gotten connected to her was through synchronicity. And so I really can feel when we have these synchronistic things happen, it's often the angelic realm helping us make the connections and giving us the signs and doing all that kind of thing to help us see what's our next step, what's the next thing to do.
So that was going to be my next question, actually. Some things that some might call, oh, what a coincidence. I was just thinking about you and you called me, or the synchronicities that we see, that we start to recognize often, if not always, that's because there's some angel energy flowing around, right? We know there are no coincidences, right? But synchronicities just abound if we pay attention to them.
Yes, and I think as we experience them and begin to trust them, so when we see a sign, we know what that means to us. They usually find something symbolic that has a meaning for us, and they use that. What I've heard from people is when when a loved one has passed, they have an association with a particular bird or flower or something like that, or a coin. That's another one that has come up, that it was particular between person seeing the sign and their loved one, and somehow that particular type of coin appeared when they were wanting a sign, or that particular bird showed up. And so as we experience that and recognize that's what's happening, we invite more of that to come in, and then the signs show up and they help us. Okay, turn this way, turn that way. You're going the wrong way.
And again, we have to be open to actually hearing it and then acting on it, because and that takes practice of being silent, doesn't it? It takes practice of kind of, you say you get most of your messages when you're in meditation. I don't think, and I get things driving in my car, because I made a habit a number of years ago about not, as much as I love music, I will drive for like 30 minutes at a time, in short distances with nothing on the radio, because to me, that's a great time. Sometimes I'll shout my gratitudes out into the world, or I'll just contemplate. And I often will get things, I will hear things, but I wouldn't be hearing them, I don't think, if my radio were on. So I just want to encourage people. I think you've got to even if it's just for 5 minutes, shut things down and just be silent with yourself and see what thoughts come in, because those thoughts could be great ideas for you.
Well, one point there I, I love to share is I wasn't in meditation, but I was in a shower, and I was trying to figure out what to do about my book because I'd gotten some lukewarm comments about the former iteration of it. And I heard in the shower, write The Art of Listening to Angels. And that just helped me focus what I had been writing about. I'd just had a broader topic and trying to cover too much. And that helped me focus it and really get a book out, first book. And so now they're working with me on the next one, and they gave me the title there, Live Your Brilliance. And they've been working with me and understanding what that means.
Did you find, Lily, that up until the point of that message in the shower that you'd been struggling with the book? You said you had gotten some lukewarm reviews of it, people reading it. It hadn't been published yet, right? But you were putting it out to people to look at. Okay. And once you got that message and got clear on, this is what I'm writing about, did things flow?
I had been working about 8 years, and within 6 months, it was done.
Wow. Wow. So that just notched up your whole, this stuff works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Trusting on a whole other level. Well, I want to read something that you sent me as I was preparing for this interview, because I just think it's so beautiful, and I think it ties in so well with what we're talking about today. You said, be who you came here to be and do what you came here to do is key to living a life that brings more love, peace, and joy into our life. Angels continue to emphasize how important it is for each of us to know the truth of our being, the love and light that we are, and the ways we can shine that into the world more brightly. So I think everything that you've said up to this point is really encapsulated in that beautiful statement that says, they want this for us. Mm-hmm. And I believe they want it because of humankind, because of how we're going to impact the planet and start to maybe shift some things that need to be shifted on a mass consciousness kind of level. Is there anything you want to add about what I just read, about how the angels can impact our light and our brilliance and all of that?
Well, the first two lines that you read were part of a message that I received from one of my other spiritual allies. And it continues to come back and support my work, because the part of it is, be who you came here to be, do what you came here to do. And there's an understanding those in spirit cannot do what we can do in our bodies. Mm. And that's important. So as we tap into what it is and share that we are, we're making an impact, and we will feel that inside. Mm-hmm. We'll feel that joy. We'll feel that love. We'll feel that peace. And it's just so important. And I just feel so honored that I have been blessed with these connections in the spiritual realm with the angels and the other spiritual allies I have. And I know that my way of continuing the blessing is by sharing it, mm-hmm. following their guidance, acting on their guidance, and removing any blocks and asking for their help to remove them, asking for help. Sometimes it's just like asking, is there a coach that can help me with this, because I'm not doing it on my own. Sometimes mm-hmm. human help is important too. And
let's go back for just a moment to that, what you just said about you've taken it to another level. Okay, you could have just gotten the information, realized that you can use the angels for your life, and not gone on to teach others how to access angel energy as well. There was something in all of this that told you that is yours to do, because it's so clearly not mine to do, right? And so how did you know? How did you know that that was, I don't know if that's an answerable question really, but
I mean, it was part of the guidance I received. And there was a piece of it where they told me early on, there's an aspect, there's a way that you telling your story about how we came to you when you were working as a lawyer. You were an adult, mid 40s, and that, you know, we were able to reach you and inspire you. That will have an impact on some people that would be unreachable otherwise. And so there was a sense of that uniqueness that I think they gave me in
yeah,
that, and kept encouraging me going forward.
I love that, because you say you were mainstream. Somebody who heard this from you when they were ready to hear it might go, oh, Lilia, well, I always thought Lilia was kind of, she's a smart woman. She seems really grounded. So maybe there's something to this. They wouldn't just push it away like they might if somebody that they didn't have that kind of respect for would say it. So that's an interesting example of how we can all be used in that way.
Yes.
And find our unique. I remember years ago, I was seeing someone who's a karmic astrologer. I saw her like a therapist for a while. And I hadn't started the organization yet, but I was talking about being part of a group that I really didn't want to be a part of the group anymore, but I was like hesitant to leave because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And she said, why are you in a group? You should be leading groups. And I said, what kind of group would I lead? And she said, you have a foot firmly planted in the mainstream world. And you also have your foot dabbling over here in other things. And you could be somebody who bridges those two worlds, because somebody might look at you with your financial background, all that is like, oh, because, people were judgy about people doing this work in the real early days, more than they are now, I think. There's a lot of fear around some of this. And I just thought that was goofy what she said, but I kept going, and, the things happen because I guess I was paying attention and not even knowing that I was paying attention to higher wisdom, I guess is the only way to put it. But
yeah, and I feel that you've done a wonderful job in bridging that gap. So kudos.
I know it
That
actually
guidance.
happened, didn't it? That was what was
Yes,
so mind blowing to me. Is like, I didn't know I was doing it. That wasn't my intention. I remember saying to someone who was coaching me a bit in the really early days, it's like, there's women showing up who do some things I'm not even sure what it means. And I'm concerned that there's just going to be too many of those women. And I said, she goes, well, why? And I said, well, when the woman from Payne Weber shows up, is she going to think we're all weird? And she said, can you just be grateful for who's showing up? And I went, oh, okay, I think I can. That was a real turning point for me, because and I think what it came down to, Lily, and I don't want to hijack your interview with this, but I wanted everyone to feel welcome. So I didn't want anyone to feel like they weren't part of something. So if somebody walked in who didn't know what Reiki was, that they would feel, but then I realized that I can't control any of that. So, I relaxed into it, and I guess I created a safe space for women in those places to show up and practice doing all that. And fortunately, you were one of those women who showed up.
And I enjoy when others show up who are gifted in real estate or business
Yeah,
or whatever, and we learn from them, and we bring some more practical information into our lives, and so yes, it's a win-win all the way around.
it is. It is. Yes. Well, tell everyone how they can buy your book and how they can find out more about the work that you do.
Okay. So my book is available on Amazon. So it's The Art of Listening to Angels. So it's easy to search for that and get that. And my website is just with my name, liliashoshannaray.com. And can email me at lilia.co. If,
Okay.
when
And
it
you do
comes to
private
intuition.
sessions with people?
I do. And I really want to help people live their brilliance and really have experiences where they feel safe in connecting to the angels and asking them for support, and so they can live their brilliance more fully.
Well, I was going to ask you for a final word of wisdom, but that sounds like a good place to end right there. What do you think? Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just, I wish for any, well, let me see if I move my, if you can see the yellow, the light, the yellow thing on the chakra
Yeah.
symbol in the back, that bright yellow. I want to see each of you shining your light
Mm,
that brightly, and you can.
wow. You can feel that just emanating out, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Lilia, so much for sharing your experience, your gifts, your brilliance, shining your light for us here today so we can get a good idea of what that looks like. And I'm going to add, I've known you for a number of years now, and you might not have done this the first year I met you. You might not have done an interview because you weren't there at that point yet. So we can all get to that place of shining our brilliance.
Yes.
And it doesn't all have to look like this. It can look like whatever it needs to look like for you to do it. Just know that you
Step at a
just
time.
don't hide it. Don't hide that light that you are. So I want to thank all of you for joining us today for the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show live in the On Purpose Woman magazine and global community Facebook page. If you love this interview and want to share it with your friends, it will be up on our YouTube channel over the next 48 hours. So go over to On Purpose Woman Global Community on YouTube, subscribe, and sign up for the notifications. There's a lot of inspiring, informative, and fun shows already there for you to watch on our channel. I want to thank you again for watching the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. See you another time. Bye now.